Hey folks, welcome back to the Lone Pine Tarot. For today's pick a card reading, I have a message from your future self or from future you. So that's kind of a general reading. We'll see where it goes. It depends on which pile you pick as to what the topic will be today. It could be something to do with career, romance with your family, or just something in general to look forward to, or something just to kind of keep an eye on, or a little bit of a heads up from your future self, right? Without further ado, let's pick our piles. For my pile number 1, I have the card Action. For my pile number 2, I have the card Security. And for my pile number 3, I have the card Forgiveness. So once you've finished meditating on the piles and decided which pile you would like read for you today, as always, the timestamps for the readings are down in the description box and the top pinned comment in the comment section below the video. And click on your timestamp for your reading, and I'll see you in our discussion about a message from your future self. Bye. Hello, my awesome pile number 1s. Welcome to your pick a card reading today that is all about a message from future you. As you recall, the card used to pick your pile was the card Action, with the imagery of, looks like a storm brewing over waves on the shore or over the ocean. So I'll comment on that as, or after I lay out your other cards. But right now I'm just going to set that down here on the left. And like most readings, I kind of have 2 sections for your reading. I have kind of a what's going on that your future self wants to speak to you about, and then also some final tarot cards as to like advice and guidance on how to go about or navigating this particular situation that's being discussed. So I'm just going to take your advice tarot cards down here with me. We'll talk about those at the end of the reading. And let's lay out your oracle cards first. So we have your Elle Qui, and you received She Who Regrets, Eclat, I believe is how you pronounce that. Forgive me if I mispronounced. With the subtitle, Battle, Victory, Bitterness. She's standing on a pile of skulls. A little bit of a morbid imagery here. She's won the battle, but looks like it took a lot to get there. It's kind of the message of that card I'm seeing so far intuitively. But before I comment, let's keep going on the other cards. Okay, your Dream Ritual Oracle card is Revisit. Returning to something, okay. Returning to something. Revisit. Let's shift that one up here. Okay. And I'll talk about your tarot cards in a second. Let's look at your Hidden Worlds Oracle. You received vertical card. Mountain Goddess, number 28. High Vibration, Mindfulness, Power of the Mind. Beautiful card. Alrighty. Let's shift that about there. Okay. Just want to make sure you can see everything clearly here. Working with limited space. Alright. And then your tarot cards. Let's take a glance at those. You received first the Hanged Man. Okay. About the way we perceive something, I'm already getting an inkling. We have, let's see, 3 of Wands, Planning for the Future is the key word for that card. Climbing a ladder, making plans, okay. Alright, we have the 9 of Coins or Pentacles. Success after a long time of work is usually the key word for that card. Upright. And we have, let's see, the Page of Swords. Inspiration, insight into something. Exploring a new way of thinking. Okay. That one's a bit more nebulous. We'll see what it means in conjunction with the other cards. So, okay, let's take a look at what's going on here from your future self, pile number 1s. One moment as I peer over your cards and get the general message out here. Okay, we have Revisit, we have She Who Regrets, Battle, Victory, Bitterness. Okay, and then, so Higher Perspective, and then we have, let's see. Oh, okay. Clicked out at me right just now. Okay, pile number 1. The message from your future self is something about a situation where you're returning to how do I put it? You're revisiting something, hence your revisit card, right? You're revisiting something in the past. Something that you tried before. Something that didn't necessarily work out well the first time. And the reason I say that is because you have your Éclat card here. Or Éclat, once again, apologies if I butcher the pronunciation, but like I said when I pulled this out, this is the card of She Who Regrets, Battle, Victory, Bitterness. She won, but at what cost is kind of what that card means in a nutshell, right? But the situation that I'm seeing here for you, like I said, it's returning to something in the past, something that maybe it technically succeeded, but didn't necessarily go well, and it's something that you're a little bit afraid to return to, a little bit afraid to revisit, to go back to, right? It's something that, not necessarily that, like, you wouldn't want to try again, but because of your prior experience the first time you tried it out, pile number 1s, you're a little hesitant because you're like, last time this particular attempt at this thing really cost me my, maybe some mental strength, a lot of energy. Maybe it was a little bit of an uphill battle. It was kind of tough. Maybe something you don't really want to tackle again just because of how energy draining it was, is the intuitive term I'm getting from Spirit here for you. Yes, there's something on the horizon where it's a return or a revisit to something that you don't necessarily want to return to because you're afraid that the same thing is going to happen again. Now, like I said, not necessarily that it didn't pan out last time, it's just that, like your Éclat card, it was sort of like, it was a victory, but at what cost? And so your future self is telling you that a similar situation is popping up again, pile number 1s. And they want to talk about, like, how to navigate that situation so that it goes better this next time. I don't know if at the time you're viewing this video that you know that it's coming up again. Some of you might not. I think, I'm going to say most of you do know that it's coming up again. But if not, it's something, like I said in the intro of the video, about a month to a year is what I asked Spirit to have, future messages from time span, right? So I would expect it within a year at the most from when you view this video, right? If you don't already know when it's going to happen, okay? So yes, you want a battle, but at what cost? It's coming up again. You have to revisit it, and there's this sort of situation where you're like, okay, well, what do I do this time to make sure that it doesn't go, I'll just be blunt, it doesn't go as crap as last time, even if it technically worked out right in the end. And, like, for some of you, this could be, like, maybe if it's a romantic thing, for example. It could be that you tried dating, didn't work out, and maybe an opportunity comes along of going on a date with another person, and you're like, oh God, do I really want to try dating again? Or it could be maybe the same person. You tried dating before, and it didn't work out the first time, and even though it technically wasn't like a total crap show, like I'm saying, it was like a victory, but at what cost? Something like that. Or it could be same thing with career. Maybe there's a project at work coming up where you did something similar in the past, or it's like a phase 2 of a project that was a victory, but at what cost with the first phase. Could even be like if you're moving jobs, moving to a job that's similar to a job that you already had, and you're like, I don't know if I really like the idea of returning to something like this. That sort of feeling. No, this is a general reading. I always say with general readings, everyone's going to be a little bit different, but that's the kind of situation that I'm referring to, pile number 1s. And, it's interesting that, for your pile leader, you picked action, right? Action. This is the card of having to take action. of storms brewing in the horizon. Not scary storms, so not to scare you, but just the energy and the drive of change coming our way and having to prepare for it. Likely you're maybe at the point right now where, like, when a storm with an M on the end, a storm is brewing, and you kind of start smelling like the petrichor in the air, like with the interaction of the molecules with the asphalt, and it kind of, you get that rain smell that I guess is what petrichor is technically. And, you kind of see some gray clouds a little bit. Like I said, I think you're maybe getting some inklings that this thing is on the horizon again. The return to this storm. Yeah, like there's some sort of thing in your life right now where you're already getting some signs that this might come back into your life in some way, and your future self just wants to tell you and reassure you with this reading, if you have noticed these signs, that yes, you're not crazy, this thing is popping up again, right? And even if you haven't, it could also be an indication to pay attention to those signs in your life already that this thing is coming back, okay? Not to scare you. I don't see anything scary in this reading, but it was, like I said, a victory at what kind of cost sort of situation that's coming back. And there might be some timidity at first about, oh God, do I have to return to this thing? Like, I really don't want to do that again. Oh, scary, right? At least not really scary, but a little bit of a hesitation there, right? So it looks like here with your tarot cards, we're not quite at the advice section yet. These cards are more about what's going on, so we'll see if we get some more nitty-gritty details as to specifics here for you pile number ones. Yeah, something about, so the Hanged Man is all about a different perspective on things, seeing things in a different way. It can also mean sacrifice. But I think especially with the Three of Wands here, this is the card about planning for the future, and that's one of the reasons why I said I think most of you kind of already know this thing is on the horizon, is returning back into your life, right? Because the Three of Wands is the card or the energy of, I already see this thing in the future, I'm already climbing that ladder and reaching for it, I'm in the planning stage now, starting to kind of enact those plans to address this matter that I'm concerned with, right? So it's almost kind of like, I think your future self is saying that either you've already kind of gotten an idea that, okay, maybe I just need to, shift my perspective a little bit. Maybe, with this fresh start, this thing coming back into my life won't be so bad this time. Now I have more experience. Now I know kind of how to handle this particular situation. Maybe the first time it came up, it was the first time that it had happened to you. Or the first time you've had to deal with that kind of thing, I guess is how I would put it. And so maybe that's why it was a little bit rocky, or there were probably also factors outside of your control. But now you're thinking, well, I have this fresh new perspective of, I already have the experience, maybe if I just look at it a little bit more positively, it'll go better this time. And I have, I learned from the mistakes of the first time, right? And so you're looking at success here. You're really hoping for success and for it going better this time, especially with the Nine of Pentacles. That's the card of, I put in a frick ton of work. Fruits of your labor card is how I would put it as the keyword for Nine of Coins or Nine of Pentacles. I put in a frick ton of work. I really, really hope this works out. I planted all these seeds. I've, harvested and helped them grow and watered them, etc. And now I'm looking towards reaping this bounty that I've sowed, right? Like I said, that's metaphorically for you, everything you've learned in the past about the first time this came around, and you're hoping that that will help you have a better harvest this time, metaphorically speaking, right? And also with the Page of Swords here on the right, I'm going to actually hold that up because it's a little bit far off the camera to the side. This is the card about having insight. It's the card about a new way of thinking when you're going about something, It's marrying kind of an idea for something with the action of something, right? Maybe a little bit more of the exploratory phase, because the Knight is the next card after the Page, and the Knights are a little bit more action-oriented, like go forward. But the Page is kind of like, I'm exploring, I'm starting to kind of put some things into action here. Maybe some bulwarks to help make this go better next time. Yeah, and too, with a different perspective here with your Mountain Goddess card. I'm going to hold that up here for a second. Yeah, it says high vibration, mindfulness, power of the mind. You know, when you're on top of a mountain, it's like you see things from a higher perspective is kind of the theme of this card, right? Seeing things differently. When you climb up a mountain, you know, metaphorically, it's like, or I guess I should put it this way. When you do things in life, and it's the first time you're trying something, you're at the bottom of the mountain, metaphorically speaking, right? But as you struggle and as you work out things and as you start climbing up that mountain, eventually you get to the peak and you can see the whole journey and the experience from a different perspective. So, like I said, that for you was like the first time you attempted this, and now the second time you're going to have the situation come up. It's like asking for that higher perspective of, you know, remember everything that happened before, what went well, what didn't go well, what would you do differently this time, right? Being mindful and the power of the mind to help you tackle, you know, this with a new, fresh perspective with the Hanged Man, knowing what you know now, right? Yeah, so that's the situation for you, pile number ones. Let me see if there's any other details I can glean before I get on to your advice cards from your future self. 1 second here. Yeah, and there's a lot of storm type imagery here, especially like with your action card and then your clock card. Like it's kind of stormy on the battlefield behind her. You know, and even with your dream ritual card here with revisit, you can see there's some clouds in the sky, especially like, I mean, there's a house floating on that one, and then the top of that tree is one, yeah. It's like things are kind of starting to glean from the horizon, so maybe, like I said, you're just at the cusp of realizing this thing is coming back a little bit. Yeah. So a shift in mind, a shift in the way you'll have to think about how to approach this time, you know? Planning ahead too. And for those of you who you don't quite know what this is yet, or you haven't seen the signs yet, I think one of the reasons why your future self would want you to know about this is that you can start getting to that energy of the Page of Swords and the Three of Wands of, you know, marrying thought and perspective, or a new perspective, I should say, with action, and then putting those plans into action to prepare for this with the Three of Wands, right? So, yeah. All right, well, let's get to your advice cards. Pile number ones. Excuse me. My voice is a tad scratchy today. I'm going to take your tarot cards off the table here, and then we will talk about your advice cards. All right, so your advice cards here are the King of Swords. Okay, mastery of the mind. A lot of mental energy, a lot of mental shifting is being advised here. I'll talk about that more in detail in a second. External mastery of the mind and communication, okay? And then we have the Two of Swords, making a decision. Okay, the Two of Swords is all about making a decision. Deciding, okay? And then you received the Ten of Wands. Okay, so typically the Ten of Wands means a burden of some sort. That's likely the energy of how you're, if this something is you already understand what this is yet, that's your immediate reaction probably is going to be like, oh god, not this burden again, right? Uh-oh. But I do see happy things on the horizon here for you with this pile number ones. It really, what I'm seeing with your cards is a lot of what will make this easier for you is a perspective shift, because you've got a lot of air energy cards. You know, even your mountain goddess is kind of like an airy card, right? Excuse me. And all the storm clouds, it's all about the mind, which in tarot and oracle cards, cardomancy in general, air is the mind, the way we think about things, the way we communicate, etc. So your advice, pile number ones, to tackle this situation is, like I said, the King of Swords, master of the air suit, master of the mind. He's got the sword in his, well, I guess technically talons, as he's a griffin, I believe. He's got the sword in his claws, talons. He's got it under control. He's a beast of the air. It's his natural suit, right? King of Swords I always see as the external mastery of the mind. So sometimes it can mean the way we communicate things. Sometimes it can mean the way that we think about things. That's why I was saying that perspective shift is a common theme that we're seeing here, right? You also got the Two of Swords, which is the way we think about debating between two different decisions here. For you, pile number ones, like I said, I think your first inclination with this situation is the Ten of Wands energy is, oh no, here's a burden coming my way. Yeah, I won last time, quote unquote, but at what cost with your clock card, right? Or clat, excuse me. You know, is this just going to be another burden on me again this time? You know, is it just going to be going to suck my energy, etc. But your advice here is deciding with the Two of Swords, making a decision to think about it in a different way with the King of Swords, to have mastery over your mind. Because what I'm seeing here, pile number ones, is I don't think it's going to be as bad the second time around as it was the first time around. And I think that's why they're emphasizing so much to you to think about it in a new way with a different perspective. To have the power of the mind help you tackle it with a fresh perspective without the burden of the issues that happened the first time around that you dealt with this particular issue, right? And, you know, a lot of times, you know, our minds actually do determine the outcome of things, the way we think about things. You know, if we tackle something with optimism, for example, you know, even though it technically didn't go so well in the past, the first time we tried it, the second time we try it, if we try it with optimism and say, hey, you know what, I've been through this before, I already kind of know what to expect, it probably will go better this time, that can have a large effect on our world around us. So what I'm seeing, like I said here, guidance is making the decision to shift your perspective with the second time around, to think of it in a more optimistic, it'll go better this time sort of way is how I would summarize that pile number ones. Let's see if there's any other messages I get here for your guidance or advice before I send you off for your day. Yeah, mastery of the mind, decision, burden. Also, I'm seeing here pile number ones, the shift of perspective in the way that you think about this situation can also lighten the burden of it. Not just to make it go better this time, you know, but also just for your own mental health and for your own sake. You know, if you view something as a, best way to put it? If you view something as a welcomed challenge or an opportunity to have it go better this time or to try again, etc., it's less of a burden on you than if you think of it as, oh God, here's a disaster coming again. What am I going to do? This thing is, you know, terrifying. It happened the first time, or it didn't go very well the first time, blah, you know. And when you catastrophize like that, like I said, it can make it a lot more of a burden than it actually has to be. So, number one rule when this pops up for you, pile number ones, your mind has a lot of control in the way that you think about it, has a lot of control over how much of a burden it will be to you, okay? So that's empowering too, because then you know, hey, it's within my power to make this a lot easier on myself. It's just I have to take that physical step with my willpower, make that decision with the Two of Swords to handle this mentally by shifting my perspective on how I think it will go. And, you know, because I already saw with the beginning, you're a very good planner, I think, with that Three of Wands that popped out, right? You know, if this is something you've already kind of seen on the horizon, you know, hence the Three of Wands energy, I think you've got it down pat, pile number ones. And even if you're not sure what this is yet exactly, I think when it comes, you're going to immediately kind of know, okay, this is what I'm going to do this time around to make it go better. So don't worry about it going wrong this time. I'm not really seeing anything negative about it going wrong like it did the first time, or at least like victory, but at what cost kind of feeling, you know? Everything will be just fine, I'm seeing. It's just that it'll make it a lot easier on you if you approach it with a different perspective, okay? More optimism, I guess is how I would put it. So, pile number ones, I hope that message from your future self was helpful for you today. As always, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye. Hello, my lovely pile number twos. Welcome to your pick a card reading today that is all about a message from future you, or your future self is another way to word that. As you recall, the card you used to help pick your pile was this security card, which, as a human, all deep down, we understand on an instinctual level this image pretty well. We not only have, you know, the cave with the fire, even a bit of cave art in the background here with the mammoth painted on the side, and the cave roof or the wall acting as a sort of barrier against the universe, or what I would call like the unknown, right? So there's some sort of theme here already with you, pile number 2s, of protection from something, being safe in some way, or wandering into the unknown, but we'll see what your other cards say before I get too deep in the weeds with that. So I'm going to set your pile leader off to the side here for now. And then I will get to your tarot cards in a moment. I also have tarot cards at the end for guidance. I also put those down here with me just until we get to the end. Okay, so your oracle cards for today are, we received She Who Rises Up, Pearl, Empower, Uplift, Elevate. Okay, looks like she's got a crane tattoo on her back. Okay, crane. She Who Rises Up. Your dream ritual oracle card is Awaken. Okay, maybe becoming aware of something I'm seeing as a theme here. Standing up and noticing something. Okay. And your Hidden Worlds Oracle is, okay, Landscape. We have number 12, The Secret of Camelot, the Authority of Spirit. Now, I believe that is the Lady of the Lake here, and she's got the glowing sword in her hand from the Arthurian tales. The Authority of Spirit. Okay. And then let's get your tarot cards on the table. So first up, we have Strength Reversed. Okay, so Major Arcana. Perhaps a life lesson related thing. Okay. You have next another Major Arcana. We have the Hermit. Okay. Then we have the Moon Reversed, another Major Arcana. Okay, there's a theme here. Spirit is very much driving this home, or your future self, I should say. Okay. And let's see, another Major Arcana, definitely life lesson, pile number 2s. Temperance is this card. So, Strength Reversed, the Hermit, the Moon Reversed, and Temperance. All Major Arcana. Like I said, if you've ever watched any of my other readings, I tend to see a lot of Major Arcana come out when there's a major life lesson involved with a reading. Okay, pile number 2s. Excuse me. So, let me take a look at the cards here and get my ducks in a row as to the message being conveyed by your future self. One moment of apologies for mumbling and or silence as I look over your cards. Also apologies if you hear a siren in the background. All right. Oh. Okay, it clicked finally. Okay. Pile number 2s. Your future self has a message about going beyond your comfort zone, is how I would summarize it in one sentence here. Not only do we have the pile leader card you chose, which is security here, like I said, it's something us humans at an instinctual level all understand. You know, we have our metaphorical caves and we have our metaphorical unknowns. And as humans, we tend to want to stay in the comfort zone, our caves, right? Where it's warm, we know all the layout, because we may have a fear of the unknown. Because, you know, like I said, on an instinctual level, humans in ancient days, the unknown could, you know, include predators, disease, lands we're not familiar with, etc., that type of thing. So, very instinctual thing for humans to be afraid of the unknown, right? So, getting out of your comfort zone, the whole theme. I also say that because you got the card She Who Rises Up, Empower, Uplift, Elevate, Pearl, in combination here with your Strength card reversed. Okay. And I say that because your Pearl card talks about being empowered. Your Strength reversed card is asking for you to feel more empowered in some way. So there's some sort of balance there to strike when it comes to facing this unknown, getting out of your comfort zone in some way, in some aspect here. And then you got your Awakened card too, which tells me in some way that Not only is it a getting out of your comfort zone situation with this life lesson, pile number 2s, it's also finally recognizing something, finally awakening to something in some way, something we didn't notice before. I'll see if I can get some more specific details than that, but this is a general reading, so it's going to be a little bit different for everybody who watches this video. And then I'm going to just pull these tarot cards down here for a second so I can look at your Camelot card. So the Secret of Camelot card also speaks to me of someone, you know, you can see the figure here. She has her head tilted down, right? But she's got a glowing sword that's kind of guiding her way as she's walking across the lake. And the authority of spirit. So I almost kind of see it as like a trusting in the unknown, a trusting in our instincts, you know, kind of letting spirit guide the way and not so much our 5 senses, or sorry, 6, well, some of us 6 senses, but most 5 senses, right? Letting spirit guide the way, letting our soul guide the way instead of the base human instincts we were talking about here with your security card of, I fear the unknown. Okay. So let me put your tarot cards back up here. Now with your tarot cards, right, all major arcana, like I said, probably a major life lesson for you, getting out of your comfort zone in some way. What you're being asked to do with this is there was a time of not necessarily introversion here with the Hermit, right, but a time of a slowness or a time of being kind of separate from something. That's what the Hermit is all about, is kind of, you know, like it says on the tin, right? Hermiting away and kind of hiding from society, gathering wisdom as an individual rather than with the collective of humanity, right? And that's okay to do that because in life we need a balance of things, right? We need time alone to think, but we also need time with others to, you know, connect with humanity and, you know, expand our relationships, you know, different lessons from different ways of living, right? You know, sometimes you learn things on your own, sometimes you learn things from other people, right? So there's a balance to be struck here. So I see for you, the situation here is you'll have been in that slower energy for a while, but you're being asked to, by the getting out of your comfort zone theme here, about rising up, empowering, uplifting, awakening, and noticing something, trusting your instincts, trusting spirit, to, like I said, get out of that time of slower energy and start moving forward with something. That's why especially like the strength reversed came up, because that's asking for more of having like willpower and strength and courage, right? To do something different than you've done before, right? And then you also have the moon reversed, which is about illusions breaking. It's almost kind of like waking up from a dream is the imagery I'm being shown for you, pile number 2s. Waking up from a dream of something and getting your life back into balance here with temperance. Temperance is all about balance, right? Moderation. Waking up from a dream and getting life back into balance where we're not so much in our comfort zone, we're willing to actually go out and take risks. We're willing to face that unknown outside of our metaphorical cave that we're comfortable in. Now, like I said, general reading, that's going to be different for everybody who views this video, but just as an example, it could be like, let's say you haven't been on the dating scene for a while because you've been kind of, you know, just developing yourself, kind of your own hobbies, your own life, you know, getting your own stuff together, that type of thing. But now with this major life lesson that's coming up from you that your future self is talking about, pile number 2s, it's almost time to transition more into a faster active energy out of that metaphorical cave and start searching through the unknowns for, let's say, you know, a relationship if that's something you're interested in. You know, it could also be, if this is career related for you, pile number 2s, like what's a good example? I mean, number 1, it could be like, let's say, you know, at your work, you have been at a similar position for quite a long time, right? Same title for a long time. And perhaps a promotion opportunity comes up for you, pile number 2s. And sure, it would be really comfortable to stay in that cave of, oh, this is the thing I know. I'm so comfortable with it. I have my nice little, my desk here and this little fire, you know, metaphorically speaking, in my cave. But that opportunity opening up to you is a chance for you to move beyond that energy of that cave and find new things within this new energy, right? You know, higher pay, more experience, maybe something that's more emotionally satisfying for you at your job or career, right? Something like that, you know, or it could even be moving beyond a certain career to a different career, right? And finding more balance in that career than the one that you're currently in now. Or it could even be, if some of you are interested in going, to school or back to school, having the courage to finally say, you know what, I'm going to do that thing. I'm going to go get that degree. I'm going to go get the certification, etc. I'm going to move out of that slow energy of being still and safe in my cave and find the courage to wake up from this, dream, so to speak, with the moon reversed, to follow that thing, to find more balance in my life between, staying safe and taking risks, right? Staying in my cave versus venturing out into the unknown and exploring a bit more. It could be in even multiple areas of your life, pile number 2s, especially because, like I said, there's so many major arcanas here. They're all major arcanas, right? And like I said, that tends to happen when there's a life lesson involved. Something with what in my personal beliefs is like your soul journey, right? Something you came here to learn. So like I said, it could be multiple areas of your life, hence it being a life lesson. It could be in romance, career, with your hobbies even, maybe trying something new. It could be, moving somewhere new. That's a general theme that's coming up here soonish for you, pile number 2s. Okay, so that's what your future self wants to talk to you about, okay? Having the bravery, with strength reversed here, having the bravery to try things outside of your metaphorical comfort cave is how I would put it, right? And like I said, on an instinctual level, as humans, we love staying in our comfort cave. We love staying by our warm fire and, having our nice roasted mammoth meat, cooked over that said fire, away from the predators and the scary things outside the cave. But we also don't, if we stay in that energy where we are, we also don't ever see anything different but that cave. And so by venturing out, pile number 2s, metaphorically speaking, or maybe literally, like I said, if some of you are maybe even moving, right? By venturing out, we can finally see the breadth of human experience from different perspectives and in new ways than if we had just stayed in that cave. That's kind of what I'm seeing here from your future self, pile number 2s, okay? All right, so let's get to your advice. I'm going to clear these tarot cards for now. And then we'll get to your advice cards. I'll set these off to the side. Okay. We received the 6 of Wands. Okay, victory. Lovely card to get. Pile number 2 is, I see already, I know this is technically the guidance section, but I see the 6 of Wands pop up a lot when there's victory involved. I think whatever it is that you've been wanting to take a next step on, or maybe you're kind of hesitating, but it is kind of a bit of a dream in the back of your head, maybe you just haven't had quite the courage yet, it will be successful as part of your guidance from your future self here as a reassurance, right? Okay. And then your next card is the 10 of Coins or Pentacles reversed. Okay, that's usually the card of like legacy, financial success, inheritance, etc. Okay, we'll get to that in one moment. And then you received another major arcana. We have the Sun. Lovely. Yeah, so pile number 2s. The future is very bright. I mean, excuse the pun, because you just got the Sun card, right? Which is bright, right? But the future is very bright for you, pile number 2s. Whatever this particular thing is that you're wanting to venture out of your comfort zone with, or at least maybe in the future, there's going to be a little bit a nudge in that direction, right? A bright future. I think part of your guidance here from your future self is to not worry about the outcome so much of it, especially because you got the 6 of Wands with the Sun. Like I said, the future is very, very bright. Not to be corny for a second, but, so bright you gotta wear shades. Oh my god, that's really corny, never mind. But yeah, I mean, literally though, like 6 of Wands is victory. The Sun is happiness. Sometimes it can mean clarity as well. It could also mean by venturing out and exploring more, you find more clarity on what it is that, that you're drawn to in life. Like for example, like let's say you'd never heard of the concept of art, which, I mean, everyone does, but let's just say you've never heard of the concept of art, right? At all. And, all of a sudden you venture out and let's say you go to a distant land. So this is all metaphorical. I'm just telling a story to kind of illustrate, right? And you discover that there's this thing that they do called art. And you realize, you try it yourself in this distant land, right? Away from your cave. And you're really, really, really good at this art thing. However, had you not ventured outside of that cave, you never would have known that you were really good at that thing, right? So that's kind of the guidance here, is that there's something that you're good at or guaranteed success at, pile number 2s, that you wouldn't have realized, or you won't realize if you don't venture out of that comfort zone, out of that cave, okay? Like I said, it could be, perhaps a relationship that you really have in the future kind of been dreaming about a little bit, like, I hope, eventually I have, a nice partner maybe to have a family with, if that's something you desire, or, it could be something with your career, etc. Maybe you dream yourself being, a business owner or, really successful in a certain field, right? That kind of thing. But you don't know until you try, right? So a lot of defeat comes from not stepping out of that cave. So basically, I see a pretty easy route for you here, pile number 2, is if you just can find the bravery to rise up and kind of notice this thing that you're good at, or this area that you're being kind of directed to, if you just step out of that little cave, okay? And then the Ten of Pentacles here reversed is interesting. So the Ten of Pentacles, like I said, normally is like the legacy inheritance card. Reversed, it can be... Sometimes it can be about breaking family patterns. I don't know if that's kind of an indication to you, pile number 2, as to what this specifically is for you. Perhaps it could be something even as simple as, oh, my family has done this thing this way for a long time, and that pattern has been impressed on me as someone that was raised by this family, right? But this venturing out into new land or new territory is away from something your family did or has, or currently does, right? I guess is how I would put that. So it could even be something as simple as breaking, a negative family pattern. That's going to be different for everybody, right? Or breaking away from, maybe a career that your parents had chosen for you. Or it could be breaking away from just a way of living that you learned growing up that isn't serving you anymore. So that's what I see with that Ten of Pentacles reversed. That's an indicator for you, pile number 2, as to kind of what generally moving out of your comfort zone is related to. Guidance from your future self. Let's see if there's any other messages here before I sign off for the day with you. Okay. Yeah, and I see, pile number 2 is here, especially, like I said, with the Secret of Camelot card with the Lady of the Lake with her head tilted down, but she's got the sword kind of guiding her as she walks forward, right? I think it's something you're going to have to kind of walk into blind. And it's like all of a sudden you're just kind of stumble on this thing and you're going to wake up and kind of realize, I'm so glad I walked out of my metaphorical comfort cave, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have stumbled upon this thing that brings me a lot of happiness and success here, especially with the Sun and the Six of Wands, right? Yeah, it's like if you could just find the bravery just to peek out beyond a little bit and rise up and feel empowered, and just know that success is here if you can just push a little bit further. Yeah, you pretty much got it in the bag. Like I said, Six of Wands, the Sun. Mm-hmm. Let's see, any other messages here? Yeah, it's like a whole aspect of your life you didn't even realize before. Especially with Awaken here, it's like what I was saying, it's almost like, and the Moon reversed we had earlier, it's like awakening from a dream. Perhaps that's why so many major arcana cards came out, because it's such a major life lesson or a major shift that it's like a barrier between this is the way my life was and now this is how my life is now. It's kind of that shift. Something very, very different for you, pile number 2s, but in a positive, very successful way. So I would just say pile number 2s as a takeaway for this reading. In the future, especially within the next year or so, is kind of the time frame I asked Spirit to kind of have the future self message come through. If there's anything where you're afraid to kind of come out of your comfort zone with, but you're still kind of intrigued about trying it, this is the go-ahead or kind of the nudge from your future self to just do it, okay? To just go ahead, try it. Because, yes, you could let fear kind of stop you, and you could, stay in your, little hidey hole, and it's not necessarily saying that, excuse me, staying in that cave is a bad thing. It's just that there's so much success and happiness here if you do try that new thing, that you're being really heavily encouraged to do so, especially too if there is a negative family pattern involved here with the Ten of Pentacles reversed. That will also just bring you that much happiness too in that way, not in external success, but also internal happiness and fulfillment, right? Breaking away from a negative family pattern. So, yeah. All right, we'll pile number 2s. As always, I hope that reading was helpful for you. I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye. Hello, my lovely pile number 3s. Welcome to your pick a card reading today that is all about a message from future you, and or your future self is another way to phrase that. As you recall, the card used to help pick your pile was forgiveness. So some sort of theme here, I think, about forgiving yourself in some way or forgiving someone else, but let's look at the other cards before we say definitively. I'm going to set that down here on the left. We also have tarot cards. I'm just going to set these down here with me for the time being, as well as some tarot cards of advice at the end. I'm also just going to set these down here until towards the end for advice, guidance, and then let's look at your oracle cards. So first up, we have the Elle Qui card, She Who Hopes. We have Renee, Love, Hope, Relationships. Okay. We also have for your dream ritual card, Barrier. Okay. Barrier. And then your Hidden Worlds Oracle you received. Number 20, Healing the Earth. Love, humility, and respect. Okay. You got love as a keyword twice, pile number 3. So you see love here with Renee, and you also see love here with Healing the Earth, right? So I'm pretty sure, I don't want to say too much before I get the tarot cards on the table, that this forgiveness is something to do with a relationship with someone you care about a lot. Does not necessarily mean romantic, but just someone that you care about a lot. So that could be family, a friend, as well as a romantic relationship, right? Some sort of barrier in this area, right? Okay. Also, your tarot cards here. We have, first up, the 6 of Coins or Pentacles, okay. All right, balance of distribution of something, okay. We have the Page of Swords, insight, acting on a thought, or exploring a thought, I should say. Okay. And then we have 5 of Wands, a little bit of a battle over something. Battle of opinions, battle of egos, perhaps. Okay. And then we have the Star reversed. So lack of hope or faith in something. Okay, 1 second as I look over your cards, pile number 3s. Maybe some mumbling and or silence as I look over your cards. Okay, so like I said, definitely some relationship related thing. Doesn't necessarily mean romantic. And then balance in some area. Yes. Okay, so pile number 3s. Your message from your future self, from future you, like I said, is something to do with the relationship you have with someone else. Does not necessarily mean romantic, but it is someone that you care about deeply. So like I said, that could be family, that could be romantic, that could be a friend, platonic, etc., right? I don't know if you've already seen this barrier between you and this other person, but generally when I pulled the cards, I asked Spirit or your future self to about up to a year ahead for the timing on this. So either now or within the year ahead after you view this video, there's some sort of relationship of someone that you care about where there's going to be a little bit of a barrier, okay? And especially with the 5 of Wands down here, as I was pulling it, like I said, 5 of Wands is all about, so you can see these people fighting. There's a little bit of a clash of egos, a clash of wills, right? Because the wands are fire, and fire is like willpower. Yeah, it can mean ego. It can also mean creativity, but in this case, I think it's more about ego and willpower, right? And what I'm seeing here is, in this relationship, be it something that's happening now or in the near future, right? There was a question, or will be a question, of balance in some way. So the 6 of Coins or Pentacles here is kind of like the Justice card, where it's about fairness, but it's more about monetary fairness or about fairness in the material world. So you can see she's like distributing the coins between the insects here, or the beetles, right? Traditionally, the Six of Pentacles is about, or what looks like someone distributing money to two different people who are asking for it, right? It's fairness, charity, equal distribution of things, right? Being fair in the material world. So this argument, you know, like I said, whether it happened recently and you already know that it happened or exactly what's going on, or if it's, you know, in the near future, like I said, is something about fairness in some way. And what happens here, or what happened, if this is in the past for you, is it drives a little bit of a lack of faith or hope in this relationship with this person that you care about, hence the star reversed. It's almost kind of like you lose, not necessarily faith or hope in this person, but maybe faith or hope in this relationship working out, or friendship, etc., whatever that particular thing is for you, as this is a general reading, right? And you're kind of wondering, or will be wondering, how to go about thinking about it, right? Especially with the Page of Swords here. This is about exploring a new way of thinking, or exploring a new thought, right? Insight. You know, you kind of gain new mental awareness, or new mental exploration of something that, you know, you thought you had locked in mentally before about, like, oh, this is how this relationship is, and then this little clash of egos about fairness of something happens, and then all of a sudden it's a new shift towards, you know, well, should I still have faith or hope in this relationship, hence the star, right? Let's see if there's any other cards popping out here while I'm looking before I get to your advice or guidance. Love, humility, respect. It could be not necessarily if it's about money. Pile number 3 is, it could also mean about the equal distribution of respect. Not only because you got respect here with healing the earth, but you also got the card about barriers, right? Boundaries. Someone overstepping your boundaries a little bit. Someone not respecting you. That type of thing. So even if it's not necessarily like, you know, if it's like a romantic relationship, the fairness of money, it could be the fairness of respect and boundaries, right? Or in any relationship in general, like I said, doesn't necessarily mean romantic. Look at your Renee card here too. Yeah, I mean, you even got hope here too. I mean, a lot of synchronicity with this reading. Like I said, the star reversed is like a lack of hope. And Renee here says she who hopes, and hope is one of the keywords, right? Like, should I still have faith in this relationship working out? Should I still have faith in things going smoothly? You know, is this the end? You know, is this lack of fairness, this pushing of boundaries, is this going to cause a lot of problems that'll make this relationship, you know, friendship, familial, romantic, whatever it is for you, as this is a general reading, like I said, will this work out? That's kind of what I'm seeing for you, pile number 3, is from your future self. So they're giving you a little bit of a heads up, or you're giving you a little bit of a heads up about this thing coming. Probably because they want you to be prepared for it, right? They want to give you some advice. Or you want to give you some advice, I should say, because this is, you know, future self, right? Yeah, and then it could also be about the way you, not you, or could be either you or the other person. Part of the argument might also be about the way that you nurture, or they nurture the relationship here, especially with healing the earth up here. Yeah, the way something's nurtured. Boundaries, yep. Because with healing the earth, it's like normally about a card like taking care of the earth, right? You know, taking care of the environment, etc. But in this type of reading, I would say it's about like nurturing the right environment for this relationship to thrive, is how I would summarize that, yeah. So that's also probably part of the argument. Something about boundaries, could be something about fair distribution of material things, something about respect and, you know, nurturing in the relationship. Give and take, you know, maybe someone's giving too much or not giving enough, someone's taking too much or not taking enough, etc., that type of thing. There's some sort of balance here, right? Okay. So let's get to your advice cards as to what your future self wants to tell you about how to kind of navigate this. I'm going to clear your tarot cards here before I put up the advice ones, just to make some room on the table. And your advice cards, let's see, you received the Emperor, okay. The Emperor, authority, masculine energy, setting boundaries, logical structure. Okay, so I'm already kind of getting a bit of a trajectory here of what the advice is, but let's keep going. We have the Two of Cups, definitely a relationship or friendship of some sort, pile number 3s. This is what I call a hammer reading, where the same kind of similar themes are kind of hammered a lot, multiple times, right? Synchronicity would be another good word for that. A hammer reading, synchronized reading, right? Okay, and then you received the High Priestess reversed. Okay. Not trusting our gut, not trusting the things we know deep down. Okay, pile number 3 is your advice from your future self in this area with this relationship matter that's coming up here within the next year for you. Is number 1, yes, focus on harmony in this relationship, especially with the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups is, I believe this is this Enki and Gilgamesh? Forgive me if I did pronounce that wrong and got the names wrong, but I believe from Sumerian mythology. This is, Gilgamesh and Enki. Best friends, right? Best buddies. Yes, from the Epic of Gilgamesh, right? From Sumerian mythology, yes. Like, deep, heartfelt platonic connection, right? So, this is all about maintaining, unity in the relationship. Yes, that's important, don't get me wrong. But you also have the twofold message here of the Emperor, which is about, with King Arthur here, I believe that is, setting boundaries, leading into more masculine energy, which is about, structure, logic, that type of thing, standing your ground, being an authority in your own life. And then that combined with the High Priestess reversed is about, especially with reversed, it's asking you to lean in more into your gut instinct. So I think the reason why it's not only like kind of a twofold of both unity, but also standing up for yourself and then like trusting your gut, pile number 3s is, this is a general reading, so the future selves of everyone watching this particular pile might not want to say one way or the other, but the guiding light is trusting your gut instinct in this situation. So when this particular little bit of a tiff in this relationship pops up, number 1, try to find a good balance between unity, but also standing up for yourself and maintaining healthy boundaries for yourself, but also trusting your gut. Because like I said, as a general reading, like I said, this is probably why they're not giving a specific, maintain your boundaries and, forget unity, or, don't maintain your boundaries, completely go with, unity, right? Just getting along. General reading, everyone's going to be a little bit different, but trust your gut is the piece of advice they're giving to you, pile 3s, about, where is more unity needed in this relationship? Where is more boundary setting needed in this relationship? It could also generally be here, especially with 2 major arcana cards. I tend to see a lot of major arcana cards in a reading when there's like a life lesson involved, right? Where there's a balance need to be struck between these 2 different sides of relationships. Like, you can have unity in relationships and set boundaries. They're not mutually exclusive. So, perhaps part of this message of guidance from your future self here, pile 3s, is just, hey, a heads up, this life lesson about how to maintain your boundaries, but also find unity with other people, and a good balance between the 2 is coming up. And the key to that is, like I said, trusting your gut and your instincts with the High Priestess reversed, okay? Yes, okay. Let's see, before I sign off with you, pile 3s, if there's any other pieces of guidance I see here for you. I think your initial inclination here, pile 3s, might be, how do I put it? There might be more an immediate focus on forgiveness, hence your pile leader card, when this particular event happens in this relationship. It might be more about like, well, let's just say sorry and move along. But the problem with that, yes, it's good to apologize, don't get me wrong. It's good to seek forgiveness, right? The problem with that, though, is it's sort of a band-aid solution for the real issue, which is finding a balance between completely, always agreeing with each other and, having boundaries and setting healthy boundaries so that you also kind of can guide the direction of this relationship as well and have some autonomy, right? So if there's an inclination when this pops up, pile 3s, to just try to apologize as quickly as you can and move along without discussing the boundaries, and the unity in the relationship, look a little bit closer at, what's the best way to put it? Like where your line in the sand is, and explaining, with compassion to the other person, like, hey, I have this boundary and this is the reason why. And I think as long as you, communicate that clearly and you both kind of discuss it a little bit, and understand, you will find that harmony in the relationship again, hence the Two of Cups here. Because that's also a bright outlook for a relationship as well, as to get the Two of Cups here. The closeness of, like I said, Enki and Gilgamesh, right? And yeah, but also, standing in your own power and you both feeling like you can have some autonomy in this relationship. It's not so much about, one person did something wrong, they need to apologize. It's, hey, let's agree to disagree on this, or let's find some sort of common ground where we're both happy and we both feel like, we have what we're seeking in this relationship and we're not stepping on each other's toes, so that you don't fall into another situation where that Five of Wands pops up again and there might be like another little tiff, a little spat, right? Let's see if there's any other guidance here. Yeah, really seeking unity but boundaries. Let's see if there's anything else. Barrier. Okay, and then, yeah. For most of you, I think this is romantic because love did pop up a lot. But like I said, it could be, platonic or familial. Sorry for the silence. I just want to make sure that I'm getting all the messages to you before I end your reading for today, pile threes. Humility, respect. I'm going to actually draw one more card for you, pile threes. One more card of advice from Spirit. Spirit, can you give me, future selves of pile threes, can you give me one more tarot card for them as a piece of advice? Okay. Well, that one for sure is the one popping out. The Ace of Wands. Interesting. Okay, Ace of Wands, pile threes. New passion, new spark. Okay. Let me read that for one moment in conjunction with your other cards. New passion, new spark. That's an interesting card to get with these cards. Oh, okay. So pile number three finally clicked for me. I think what they're saying, your future self is saying to you, is not to worry so much about, how do I put it? Is not to worry about it not working out just because of this thing that happens. Because oftentimes when we do have conversations like this, or when we do have arguments like this, yes, it kind of sucks in the moment when it's happening, because it's like, oh God, we argued, oh, maybe we're not so happy with each other, we're kind of rocky right now, right? But it also reveals more about how to get along. It's like a new revelation, I guess is how I would put it. In that, in the future afterwards, you both know, okay, this is a boundary I don't want to cross, or I shouldn't cross with the other person. And, of course, in a loving relationship, they'll respect that because they want that unity of the Two of Cups, right? So don't worry about the spark falling away from this relationship when this does happen, because in the end, it actually is healthy for the relationship. Yeah, like I said, it might kind of suck in the interim because it's like, oh God, we argued, etc. But in the end, it is something that's important to the continuance, I guess, of the relationship in a healthy manner, is to have those defining moments of, okay, I understand more about this person now, is how I would put it, okay? Let's see if there's any other messages here, pile threes. Yeah. It's almost kind of like, the imagery I'm seeing here, pile threes, is not a literal contract, obviously, but it's almost kind of like there's sort of an unsaid contract when you enter in a relationship with someone, like I said, either platonic or, romantic, right? It's kind of an unwritten contract, right? And this moment is going to be kind of a renewing or like a revising of that contract in some way. Metaphorically speaking, of course, not a literal contract, right? Unless, of course, for some of you, this could be a relationship with someone that you're in business with, in which case it could be a literal contract, right? But for most of you, I think it's metaphorical. It's almost like a rewriting of this contract, of like a new understanding of the direction of how this relationship will go. And that's why it's healthy for it in the end. Because now there's more clarity about how to go forward. Yeah. That's what I'm seeing for you, pile number 3. So it's like before it was a little bit, hazy as to where the boundaries were. And then, excuse me, my voice is a little scratchy today. A little bit hazy where the boundaries were before, and now after setting those boundaries and finding out, where the lines are drawn, it's like finally, the imagery they're showing me, and this is really strange, is like if any of you have ever been bowling, right? Sometimes when people go bowling, they put the, what are they called? They're like the gutter rails. So that when you go bowling, like your bowling ball doesn't fall in the gutter. Like they're almost kind of like a safety mechanism for, if you don't want to play a game where like you'll get a gutter ball, you're always kind of guaranteed to at least hit some pins. This is what this relationship defining moment is, pile number 3, is finally, instead of always kind of being a little bit of a risk of whenever you throw that bowling ball, something falling in the gutter, right? This puts up those guardrails so that the future of this relationship goes a lot smoother and there are no more major gutter balls, I guess is how I would put that. Kind of a weird bowling metaphor, but that's what I was being shown. Maybe for specifically that is a metaphor that will make sense to you, especially if I have any bowlers out there, right? Yeah, it's like the gutter rails, right? I can't remember exactly what they're called. They might be called that, but that type of thing. So this will add those rails to the relationship so that nothing that major of an argument happens again, is how I would put it. So, like I said, sucks in the interim because it's like, oh, we argued, right? Not fun. Never fun. But it does happen in life. And oftentimes we learn more about each other and how to go forward more smoothly after moments like this. And so it's healthier for it in the end, of course. Obviously, I'm not saying like too major of a fight, right? Like nothing, world ending or world breaking, at least personally speaking to you. It's just, yeah, some sort of little spat here that helps at least the aftermath of finding where the boundaries are and the unity, trusting your gut about this, right? It'll help kind of develop, that gutter rail. So yeah. All right, well, pile number 3 is, I hope that reading was helpful for you. As always, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next reading.